Hi there, it's Steve from Northeast Functional Health. Today we're going to have a little video to do with how the narrative that we tell ourselves is always really important. Now, everyone in their life will normalise what they've experienced, no matter how sensational it is. And the reason we normalise things is because that's how we deal with it, right? If we're suddenly always thinking that, oh, that bad thing happened to me and it was terrible, it will just, for want of a better description, make us really unhappy. So we just kind of go, oh yeah, that happened, but whatever, I'm dealing with it, it's fine. And that is the same with physical issues as it is with emotional issues. So I work with lots of people who kind of come in, they've had scans, or let's just say they're 50 plus and one of their knees is causing them pain. They're like, oh, I need a knee replacement, or I need a hip replacement. Oh, you know what, I think it's the joint. Now 9 times out of 10, maybe not quite that many, 8 times out of 10, so 4 out of 5, it won't actually be the joint. There is lots of research out there which shows there are lots of people with degenerated joints who have no pain. A joint being degenerated does not necessarily cause you pain. That is a really important point to get across. However, everyone assumes they're in that minority. So let's just say 15-20% of people have got a degenerated joint that actually does cause them pain. Almost everyone that fits into that potential category will assume that they are in that 15 or 20%, when of course statistically they can't be. Now, what we find is education is really important here, because people just kind of go, oh yeah, you know what, that joint's causing me pain. As I said, there's no relationship between joint degeneration and pain. There's lots of research which shows that, I'll put some links up below if I remember, to do with people who had scans on their back, people who didn't have pain, and they found all sorts of issues, degeneration, protruding discs, all sorts of things, and these are in people with zero pain. Again, you can scan someone who has excruciating pain and there won't be a structural issue there. So it's not as simple as kind of going, oh yeah, you know what, it's a disc pressing on a nerve, oh I've got nerve pain. Most of the time you do not. Now, this is another kind of discussion I have with people, and the difference between a 50-year-old and a 15-year-old. Simply put, the difference is 35 years worth of funk. You just have, a 50-year-old just has more stuff in their system, more stuff that's needed to be treated. And that is why a 50-year-old has more pain, because an accumulation of this, there's going to be more stress in their system in terms of emotional stress, mental health stress, responsibilities, and they're just going to have more funk. Now, as I've said in previous videos, the more funk you've got in the system, that effectively robs you of resources. So you are therefore more likely to pick up even more funk and just experience more discomfort and more pain and more movement problems as things just effectively kind of almost grind to a halt. Now that's a bit sensationalist. However, you find marathon runners or 70-year-old marathon runners who are pain-free. You then have a 70-year-old who, medical conditions notwithstanding, can't walk down to the local shop. The difference there is going to be the amount of stress in their system. The person who is running marathons pain-free, if they came into clinic, whilst I would still find stuff, you'd find their system is just firing on all cylinders, let's say. Whereas that person who can't get to the local shops and maybe has kind of chronic pain issues, will just, their system just won't be able to cope with the stimuli that it's receiving, and therefore it will shut down and kind of create other problems. These are things that can be treated. However, obviously the 50-year-old with more funk is going to need more treatment than the 15-year-old who's got less funk in their system. That's just unfortunately the way that it works. However, these things you can find, you can treat them, and you can effectively almost like slow down the aging process. Now I know that sounds a little bit ridiculous. However, I've assessed a lady a couple of times who is mid-late 70s, and to look at her, you would assume that she is late 80s, early 90s. She's lived in chronic pain for 50 years, and that pain has just had that effect on her system. It has prematurely aged her. There are no underlying medical conditions. No one's been able to explain why, and unfortunately, it's not something we've been able to. I've not actually worked with her. I've just assessed her a couple of times. However, simply put, the more stress and the more funk there is in your system, it will affect and slow down how efficiently your system works as a whole. These are things that can be treated.